Let us explore the sitting practice that opens deep meditation. This is an explanation of the 7-point posture of Vajrayana. The Mahasiddhas of India and Tibet spent long and hard figuring out what works in meditation and what doesn't work in meditation, even when it comes down to the details of sitting. The first point pertains to the legs. I recommend sitting on a yoga blanket. You can find one reasonably priced online. They're typically made of cotton, and I recommend throwing them in the washer and the dryer once a week because active sitting can be sweaty business. We can fold it so that it folds naturally into a square approximately 18 inches by 24 inches. Let us explore the folly of the full lotus posture. Let us consider a tale of two archetypes. The Buddha, known as Gautama or Shakyamuni, and his foolish cousin Devadatta. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including meditation teachers. Devadatta could be described as being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. It's been my experience that when we apply the teachings of institutional Buddhism, we become that way as well. We become acolytes of Devadatta. However, when we follow the teachings of Proto-Buddhism, we tend to be much more flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, in the tradition of the Buddha. Be he real or be he archetypical. So those who are elitist love to make things just as difficult as possible. Many contemporary Buddhist statues depict them sitting in the full lotus position. However, when we look at the oldest Buddhist statues, we see them sitting in the quarter lotus position, which is infinitely easier to master and far more sustainable. So I'm going to quickly demonstrate with my hands how this works. Let's pretend my forearms are shins and my hands are feet. In the lotus position, the left foot rests on the right thigh, and the right foot rests on the left thigh, which puts stress on the hip joints and the knee joints. In the quarter lotus position, one shin rests on the ground, the other shin rests upon it. The first time we try to do this, it'll most likely be ungainly. Our job is not to force our knees down. Rather, our job is just to sit there and let gravity do our work. Let gravity, as I say in yoga class, open our hips. You see, our knees are merely hinge joints, whereas our hips are ball and socket joints and are infinitely more, have a much greater range of motion. The second point pertains to our hands, which I will go into greater detail with in a future class, but I will touch upon it later during this class. The third point is our spine. So we don't want to, basically, every time we inhale, we are wired to generate a vertical traction between our head and our tuchus. Every time we relax, that traction has evolved to release. Sometimes in an exaggerated manner, sometimes in a subtle manner. The fourth point concerns our scapula or shoulder blades. We want to sit in a way that causes those shoulder blades not to close, but to open. Ancient texts mentioned opening their shoulders. They didn't mean our shoulder joints. They meant our shoulder blades. In a manner reminiscent of a vulture spreading its wings to ward off its fellows from its lunch, that it might not share. Ironically, vultures play a prominent role in Buddhist symbology, reminding us of the inevitability of change. The fifth point pertains to our chin. So here's the funny thing. When we lift our chin up, we can feel our scapula close. When we lower our chin, we can feel our scapula open. So adjusting our chin pitch is key to adjusting our scapula. And of course, it goes without saying, we don't want our chin to be over one shoulder or the other shoulder, but right over our sternum. The sixth point pertains to our mouth. We wish to touch the tip of our tongue to the roof of our mouth just behind our incisors. Think of it this way. The rows of our teeth do not touch, but the tongue touches the roof. And of course, that is somewhat reminiscent of Pink Floyd line, everything under the sun is in tune, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon. The seventh point pertains to the eyes, and this is a trifle controversial. Theravadins often teach us to close our eyes, not tightly, but gently. Mahayana practitioners often teach us to hold our eyes at half-mast. Many practitioners of Tibetan shamanism, known as Bon, insist we must gaze at the sky, or at the horizon, or at the earth. It's been my experience that, well, when we watch videos on YouTube discussing the neuroscience of, what's that? The scientific name for magic mushrooms? I can't remember at this moment. If you remember, please type it in the chat window. But when discussing the neuroscience of consuming magic mushrooms, they talk about spontaneous imagery occurring and correlating that with making enhanced connections that help us to take a flexible view towards our preconceptions, both analytical and interpersonal. I've found that by gently closing my eyes in meditation, I'm able to experience the same thing to a very gentle degree. I encourage you to do likewise, unless, of course, you're driving a car. If this seems like I'm asking you to whistle the national anthem while riding a unicycle, allow me to reassure you. If we passively listen to the body's wisdom revealed by watching and resting in harmony with our breathing, sitting will take care of itself. This is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you wouldn't have to. It is Ahsoka Tano Thursday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Let us not make the mistake of actively focusing on our nostrils or our breathing. Doing so could so exhaust our medial prefrontal cortex that it triggers our amygdala, the seat of both anxiety and aggression. To avoid stepping in this bear trap, let us emulate the archetype of the enthusiastic piano student who is so enthralled with his score and his keyboard that he merely holds the sound of his metronome in passive peripheral awareness. What is the essence of mindfulness? As we passively notice air enter our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the verb watch. As we passively notice air exit our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the verb rest. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we have evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which functions as the core of our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. All of them, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, from the glorious to the grotesque. What are we to do with all that which we noticed? We meditate. You see, every time we exhale, we have evolved to automatically access both the tippy top and the very bottom of that same spinal cord. These two regions, working as a team, function as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and rather non-graspable. So the easiest way, as a great preliminary practice for meditation, is for us to gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce at our crown. The easiest way to do that is to practice the Pasadi Mudra, also known as the meditation gesture, wherein the tip of our left index finger supports the lower knuckle of our right index finger, palms up, in our lap. An additional benefit of this, well, this gesture is useful when we find ourselves on the precipice of a meltdown. It's useful when we go to bed and wish to fall asleep. It's useful when eventually we find ourselves dying. It is also useful to help us keep track of our first, or I should say our first bonus round. What is a round, you might ask? A round is one inhalation and one exhalation. When practicing Bengali crease counting, we work in terms of 13 rounds. Having done a bonus round, that means we have 12 rounds left, which we will keep track of on our right hand. Every time we silently and mentally recite the verb watch during our inhalation, we advance our right thumb across the sets of creases, beginning with the one at the base of our right little finger and concluding with the upper set of creases on our right index finger. Together as a team, let us practice now. Counting 12 rounds takes up just a little bit more than a minute. Therefore, if we wish to meditate for a set of 15 minutes, I recommend collecting 12 sets, or a total of 13 sets, 12 inhalations each. Let us therefore touch the tip of our left thumb to the set of creases, the base of our left little finger, then return our attention and thus count our bonus round. And then return our attention to our right hand. Having completed an additional set of 12 inhalations, we now return to our left thumb and advance it again. Now that you get the idea of how we can count multiple sets of 12 inhalations each, Let us rest both our hands palms up in our lap. Let's shift gears. Let us gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. Let us do that by practicing the Sati Mudra or mindfulness gesture, which is simply using our left middle finger, the tip of our left middle finger, to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger, palms up in our lap. As we feel our chest swell with breath, let's silently and mentally recite the verb feel. As we passively notice our chest subtly sinking as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the verb rest. Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it refreshing to knock out 8 repetitions of senior citizen squat thrusts. I'm going to take a moment to swing the laptop around. All right, here we go. Chair squat. Walk forward. I articulate the arms. Walk back into a full squat. Raise the roof. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers. Just like you. In approximately 11 hours, or 11 and a quarter hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. I guess I should say tomorrow's dawn practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.